And still on electoral matters, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has approved the update of the party's timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general elections. The party's National Publicity Secretary in a statement said local government area Congress to elect one national delegate per LGA and one person living with disability in the 774 local government areas will hold Tuesday, May 10, 2022. State House of Assembly, that is State Constituency Congress, holds Wednesday, May 18, 2022. House of Representatives primaries slated for Friday, May 20, 2022. Senatorial District primaries, Saturday, May 21, 2022, while governorship primaries will hold Monday, May 23, 2022. May 29, 2022, date for the party's presidential primary election still stands. Decision on zoning of the 2023 presidency by the People's Democratic Party is expected to top agenda as the National Executive Committee meets in Abuja. To ensure decisions favor their zones, aspirants from across the country have continued to deepen their consultations. The ambience at the party's national headquarters is that of protests concerning zoning. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Members of the highest decision-making organ of the main opposition party, PDP, were to meet this Wednesday but now deferred to May 10, 2022. Ahead of the NEC meeting, a group under the banner of Concerned Nigerian Citizens occupied the Wadata Plaza, PDP National Secretariat in Abuja, asking the party's leadership to zone the presidential ticket to the south. Notwithstanding the peaceful agitation for the party's presidential zoning to the south, Northern presidential aspirant Muhammad Hayatuddin has further taken his presidential consultative approach to the House of Representative caucus of the PDP.
This country has done everything for me. From the cradle to where I am today, I got educated with public funds. I'm no better than anybody else. The jobs that I got were because of the courtesy of the states. Not because I'm somebody extraordinary or somebody special. And I feel it is time for me to actually go back. And if given the opportunity, I pledge to all of you, with the fear of God in my soul and my heart, that I'll give every atom of my energy and my spirit and my imagination to the cause of this country and rebuild it.
He restated that the consensus arrangement advocated by some of the aspirants, including him, collapsed. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has given more time for parties to the suit seeking the suspension of the presidential primary of the People's Democratic Party to file their responses to the application of a party member. Cosmos Ndukwe, a presidential aspirant and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly who filed the suit, says the main opposition party, the PDP, must respect the principle of zoning as enshrined in its constitution. Olabode Arewa reports.
The matter was filed by the plaintiff applicant, arguing that he fears that the People's Democratic Party may have jettisoned rotational power, a practice they adopted since 1999 in order to purportedly exclude the southern part of Nigeria from the presidency. The court at its last sitting ordered the respondents, including the PDP, to show cause why it should not order the suspension of the forthcoming PDP presidential primary. While one of the respondents, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, had already approached the Court of Appeal to quash the order of the court, other respondents at Thursday's proceedings prayed the court for more time to respond to the processes having just been served. The PDP, in a preliminary objection, argued that where the party's presidential candidate emerges from was an internal affair of the party. The case has been adjourned to May 10, 2022.
Even the new Electoral Act 2022 forbids it, Section 8415 forbids it, that the courts should not in any way stop any Congress or primary or convention.
The PDP constitution has zoning as a core principle, and the zoning committee accepted that zoning is good and affirmed it. And then contradictorily immediately said they would not follow zoning.
Some of our clients have not been served, some of the respondents, some have been served. So the natural thing there is for the court to adjourn.
Meanwhile, Justice Donatus Okorowo has ordered that status quo be maintained in a similar case filed by the Plateau State chapter of the PDP to also have the party presidential primary suspended. The assistant PDP state legal advisor, Panshak Dakien, alleged that the PDP headquarters was making moves to disenfranchise members of the PDP ESCO in Plateau State by dissolving them before the party convention. The first respondent PDP had, in a preliminary objection, maintained that it was within the purview of the national leadership to set guidelines for the conduct of party primaries, either at the state or national level. The case has also been adjourned to 15th of May for hearing. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
And all the 18 political parties have served the required notices to INEC, indicating the dates for their conventions, congresses and primaries for the purpose of nominating candidates for various elective offices as specified in the Constitution and the Electoral Act. A statement by INEC National Commissioner for Information Festus Okoye indicates that some parties have already commenced the process, for which the Commission has deployed staff to monitor the exercise as required by law. Given the importance of the exercise to the margins of candidates for the various elective positions for the 2023 general elections, it is imperative to remind political parties that they have 1 month from today to conclude their primaries. The deadline remains Friday, 3rd of June 2022. The statement adds, nominations for presidential and national assembly elections shall be submitted through the INEC portal from 10th to 17th of June 2022, while governorship and state houses of assembly nominations shall be submitted between 1st and 15th July 2022. Senator Ibikunle Amosun today in Abuja officially declared to contest for the presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress APC. The senator said he is not just convinced he can consolidate on the gains of democracy, he can also strengthen the bonds of unity with agriculture, security and poverty reduction as his areas of concern. Charles Alpha reports.
Nigerians are calling and moving towards making a choice regarding who leads them come 2023 and have received sufficient response from aspirants across board. Former governor of Ogun State and serving senator in the 9th Assembly, Ibikunle Amosun of All Progressive Congress, APC, whom colleagues in the Senate, friends and supporters say has proven himself in and outside the government circle, has decided to join the race for the presidential ticket in 2023 general election in consolidation of the gains of democracy of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Senator Ibikunle Oyelaga Oluwatoyin Agbonwo Duborike Mohammed Ibrahim, who asked you, my dear compatriots, particularly members of our great party, the All Progressive Congress, to support my bid for the presidential ticket of our great party APC.
The presidential aspirant said he possesses a wide range of experience to provide the needed leadership and redouble effort to mobilize and confront the security challenges and threats to economic development in Nigeria.
Our goal, therefore, will be to build a growing, globally competitive and inclusive economy for all Nigerians.
Upbeat and sure, it's something that he's doing out of conviction, and he has demonstrated this in previous assignments.
Senator Ibikunle said he will strengthen the foundation of the federal system to provide a pathway to harnessing Nigeria's enormous potential and form partnerships and international alliance in realization of his lofty plans for Nigeria. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on NTA. Time to pause here and join Hingino in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Hingino.
Relevant stakeholders have converged on Lagos to brainstorm on strategies for developing a stand-alone draft bill to domesticate the provisions of the Kampala Convention on internally displaced persons in Nigeria. Ruth Ario Samuel reports.
The African Union Convention for the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons in Africa is the first ever binding legal instrument dealing with internal displacement. As a state party to the convention, Nigeria has signed and ratified the resolution of the Kampala Convention in 2012. Since then, federal government has rolled out the process of domesticating the Kampala Convention for the protection and assistance of internally displaced persons. The retreat, organized by the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, is geared towards reviewing what has been done so far, expunge any contradictions, as well as present the draft to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for further action.
Through the commission before, but now it's going to be a standalone bill. And I hope that in ensuring that we have a bill for the Kampala Convention, we'll also finalize our bill, our national and our NCF-RMI bill as well.
The IDPs are actually suffering, and there is a need for the federal government to make a law on that issue to regulate the internally displaced persons.
By domesticating the Kampala Convention, you actually have a criminal law in place. It becomes part of the penal code, and that the government can bring to justice the perpetrators of human rights abuses against innocent civilians.
It is expected that the three-day retreat will produce an advocacy plan for relevant agencies for adoption at the Federal Executive Council and passing at the National Assembly. In Lagos, Ruth Ario Samuel, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Transportation has set a 2-month deadline for full implementation of Practitioners Operating Fee (POF) for freight forwarders operating at the nation's seaports. The new deadline was arrived at during a ministerial meeting with terminal operators and other stakeholders in the collection of POF, organized by Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria. Adeni Itai will complete the report.
For more than 10 years, since the Directive on Practitioners Operating Fee (POF) was introduced via Section 6 of the CRFFN Act, the Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria has had a running battle with port terminal operators over its implementation. The POF is a prescribed charge that registered freight forwarders are mandated to pay per cargo before such cargoes can exit the port, and terminal operators are expected to enforce this by integrating POF web-based payment solution into their own platform.
Some terminal operators have either been foot dragging or have outrightly refused to implement the collection.
Worried by the toll that non-compliance with the directive is taking on the nation's revenue generation drive, the Council, by organizing this stakeholders engagement, hopes to address the concerns of terminal operators and get their buy-in.
It's a win-win for both the government and the practitioners, with the promise of organized collective action against numerous threats, including intrusion and dominance of the space by people who shouldn't be there.
After a closed-door session with the operators, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Transportation, Magdalene Ajani, told the media that a gentleman agreement has been reached with the operators on full implementation of the directive.
We also agreed that within the next 2 months, all that should be resolved. The back payments should be made. It's the freight forwarders that have to pay. And there is a platform which CRFFN has developed, which doesn't take more than 2 minutes.
Saddled with the responsibility of providing enabling entrepreneurial environment for freight forwarding business in the country, CRFFN says a robust system that will make the collection transparent and serve as a database for the number of cargoes at the port is already in place. In Lagos, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and our other social media handles for updates. Felicia in Jos is set to bring us stories from that zone after this break.
You're still on to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Welcome to Jos. Plateau State has recorded more than 70% immunization coverage in the first quarter of 2022. State Immunization Officer Luka Izang says this while reviewing their activities. Belkis Nuhu reports.
Given a scorecard of coverage so far, the state immunization officer says 12 local government areas have attained more than 60% coverage, while 4 local government areas recorded 90%, which he says is a huge success. Staff inadequacy, funding, and attitude of parents towards vaccination are some of the challenges of the exercise.
Looking at the national coverage, we need to reach that 90%. If you are talking about the 73%, yes, there are some LGAs that may exceed that 73%, and there are those that are below 73. Add them all together, we have 17 LGAs. That give us the average of 73% coverage.
Mr. Izam appeals to parents and guardians to always avail their children the opportunity to be immunized against child killer diseases. On COVID-19 vaccination, over 300,000 people have so far been vaccinated in the state.
We sincerely want to believe that there are key stakeholders that can actually help to ensure that the eligible clients get the vaccination.
He says COVID is still in existence, asking people to get vaccinated as vaccines are available. In Jos, Bilkis Nuhu, NTA News.
Federal government is emphasizing the need for an effective regulation in the mining industry to transit from informal and illegal mining to a more formalized, sustainable venture. This came to the fore in Jos at a training for miners in the North Central Zone with the theme Sensitization and Training on Formalization of Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining in Nigeria. Ijoma Ozemena has more.
The forum is germane to accelerate development of the Nigerian mining industry and to properly organize the artisanal and small-scale mining so that miners can earn decent living, communities to benefit from exploitation of mineral resources, and the government to earn corresponding revenues from the sector. The workshop notes that a significant portion of Nigeria's mineral production comes from the artisanal miners, and the subsector provides livelihood opportunities to more than 2 million Nigerians. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development says that since 2011, it has consistently provided training for sustainable mining practices for operators across the geopolitical zones.
With this sensitization workshop, definitely the people will be able to better themselves, and they will also be able to, in a way, contribute meaningfully to the economy of the country.
And then apart from that also, like I said, there's going to be extension services that will be given to them.
What are those necessary things that we need to put in place in terms of lawmaking to be able to have our constituents who are into mining, the artisans, to benefit from whatsoever federal government intervention according to the law?
Goodwill messages came from a Director General, Nigerian Institute of Mines and Geosciences, Chairman Mines Association of Nigeria, Plateau State Chapter, and Chairperson Women in Mining, among others. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
And that report brings us to the end of our contribution in Jos. Let's rejoin Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Now to bilateral talks. In view of global challenges confronting the economy, Nigeria and India are making new moves to attract investments for mutual benefits. At the 7th Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi, Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyema called for stronger ties between Nigeria and India. He says with access to 54 markets, the African Continental Free Trade Area is a game changer that will ease doing business for countries. Speaking on trade, cooperation and partnerships, the minister noted that Nigeria and India have a long history of very close cooperation in people-to-people relations. Looking at India as the world's second largest producer of steel, Onyema assures that Nigeria will collaborate closely with India to achieve industrialization action plan through continental framework of India-Africa Summit. The minister, while in India, visited one of India's largest steel and power plant and inaugurated the Nigeria-India Business Council. India's Prime Minister sympathizes with the government and people of Nigeria over the recent deaths in Imo State due to illegal oil refining. And a bit of oil and gas following the conclusion of the 28th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting held via video conference. OPEC noted that continuing oil market fundamentals and the consensus on the outlook pointed to a balanced market. The meeting further acknowledged the continuing effects of geopolitical factors and issues related to the ongoing pandemic. The OPEC and participating non-OPEC oil-producing countries decided to reaffirm the decision of the 10th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting held on the 12th of April 2020 and further endorsed in subsequent meetings. They reconfirmed the production adjustment plan and the monthly production adjustment mechanism approved at the 19th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting and the decision to adjust upward the monthly overall production by 0.432 million barrels per day for the month of June 2022. The ministers reiterate the critical importance of adhering to full conformity and to the compensation mechanism, taking advantage of the extension of the compensation period until the end of June 2022. The meeting said the 29th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting will hold on the 2nd of June 2022. In other news, Nigeria and our ECOWAS partners would need to reform tax systems, optimize revenue collection, and pay attention to inclusive growth to deal with debt sustainability concerns. These are some of the recommendations at the formal launch and dissemination of the Debt Management Restructuring and Sustainability in the ECOWAS region report. Leah Katung Babatunde tells us more.
The world has been facing rising debt levels since the COVID-19 pandemic started, a trend that has been further exacerbated by the war between Russia and Ukraine. Concerns about debt sustainability and the need for restructuring have been stronger for sub-Saharan Africa due to high debt service costs when compared to revenues. The Debt Management Roundtable is on the back of an 18-month study that seeks to find practical policy solutions to growing debt concerns in the ECOWAS region.
The main concern with higher debt loads, particularly in ECOWAS, is in its ability to create macroeconomic instability. High domestic debt crowds out investment for the private sector, while the high cost of debt service channels revenue away from productive investments in the economy.
West Africa's revenue to GDP ratio is 19.3%. Nigeria presently hovers around 9%, with government targeting 15% already planned in the Strategic Revenue Growth Initiative and Finance Acts.
Place a sharper focus on domestic resource mobilization, which is the same as generating revenue. From what sources? How do we increase taxes? Can we improve by getting more compliance?
The overall message is, let us pay more attention to economic growth, particularly inclusive growth. Can we have macroeconomic stability?
The roundtable, among other things, is proposing ways ECOWAS member states can strengthen debt quality and ensure sustainable debt levels over the long term. In Abuja, Leah Katung Babatunde, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has opened bids to pre-qualified contractors for the supply of equipment and other services that may be required during the year. NEC also reports that 141 submissions were received across various categories.
The bidding exercise is designed to pre-qualify registered suppliers and contractors in accordance with their areas of expertise across various material and service categories. Diligently and transparently, the procurement team verifies documents submitted by the contractors.
Is good and transparent, and we hope the evaluation too will be as transparent as this.
And which I believe in doing this every year, everybody will have interest and confidence in NTA and every other organization that does a thing like this.
On hand to observe the proceedings are representatives of various NGOs and some members of the NTA management, led by the Acting Director General, Stephen Okpanachi.
This one too will be a seamless and a type of procurement process that will not be easy with some challenges in terms of procurement fraud, ICPC, EFCC challenges. Let us be transparent, let us be honest, let us be sincere.
We, NGOs, a civil society organization that is working on transparency, accountability, and value for money, we really appreciate NTA for carrying out this bid opening that is free and transparent, and also expect that in evaluation stage that we are expecting to see that transparency.
The public opening of the pre-qualification submissions is in line with NTA's commitment to transparency and accountability in all its processes and transactions. In Abuja, Nneka Oku, NTA News.
Let's now head to Benin because Agatha has some reports for us on Nationwide today. Hello, Agatha.
Elizabeth, thank you for joining us in Benin. The number of deaths occurring in neonates in Nigeria is raising concern among key stakeholders in Edo State. However, steps are being taken to change the narrative for the better. Elizabeth Omoko reports that medical officers in specialized fields from outside the country are sharpening the knowledge of caregivers to reduce the number to the barest minimum.
Neonatal mortality rate is the number of babies that die in the first few weeks after birth. In Nigeria, experts put the figure at about 35.5% per death in 1,000 live births in 2020. This puts the country second to India with the highest number of neonatal deaths, approximately 700 daily. Stakeholders believe the situation can be reversed, and wife of the governor, Bessie Obaseki, is driving the process in Edo through the Help Babies Survive and Make No Pikin Die initiative.
You are a specialized knowledge you're acquiring, uncommon one. Your colleagues that won't get this training will not be able to do what you will be able to do after this training.
These medical experts believe that ensuring quality care for pregnant women and newborns, particularly in rural areas, will tackle lower respiratory, diarrhea, and other diseases identified as some of the causes of deaths of newborns.
That we all don't become an adult one day. You have to be a child first. We just can't afford to focus only the adults.
Being able to breathe is one of the fundamentals of the neonate existence. And for us to be able to impact on that effectively requires us being able to train competent individuals who are there at the time the birth is occurring.
The training, they are optimistic, will reach caregivers at the grassroots to cause positive changes in healthcare centers across the states. In Benin, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
And students of University of Benin have continued to protest against lingering strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. They want ASU and the federal government to settle their differences so that they can return to school. Dennis Temple has the report.
Students of the University of Benin in their numbers continue to protest at the Obowo campus gate on Benin-Lagos Expressway. From there, they moved to the city center, the King Square. The gridlock on the highway for hours forced motorists to meander through alternative roads to their destinations. They say they will remain on the streets until ASU and the federal government reach a truce and put an end to incessant strike in public universities.
A proper semester is supposed to be at least 12 weeks. So for as long as the government wants us to stay here, we will stay here.
Federal government and ASU should come to a compromise and reach a very good agreement that will be favorable to us. Because we, the students, we are the ones suffering. We are here to educate ourselves and to keep up our intellectual capacity, because for tomorrow to be bright, education must be right. We are tired of staying at home. It's been 80 days. All we are demanding is to go back to our classroom.
This is my 8th year of finishing secondary school. I am not yet in final year.
We will keep agitating till our voices are heard.
This is the second day they have taken over the streets, taking mock lessons to protest closure of schools. In Benin, Dennis Temple, NTA News.
And that's our package. Nationwide makes a stop in Kaduna, where Amina is standing by.
The agitation for women to play crucial roles and aspire for elective positions in 2023 general elections is gaining ground under the political atmosphere in Kaduna State. Haruna Mohammed reports.
According to statistics, women in Kaduna have a large voting population. Stakeholders argue their large number is not reflected in their aspiration to seek elective positions during election. However, agitation by women and their advocates for participation in politics has begun to change perceptions.
I want to represent my people. I want to give good representation to women and children who are the most vulnerable in the society.
I have a lot of aspirations and goodwill and whatnot for my local government.
Finding shows NMPP has 11 women as PDP and APC have 18 and 14. Mariam Suleiman is among those aspirants vying to represent Megana constituency in Suba local government area.
I have found the grassroots to be what I love, and they have shown me love back. Even the men open up to me, they open their arms and welcome me into the political sphere.
The president of Jamia Mata Arewa, a non-governmental organization, is galvanizing for more women participation in politics, calling on women to support one another.
We have so many problems. First and foremost, we ourselves, the women, are our problems. We have so many women that want to buy, but they don't even look for the women to even get their support. You see, and it's very bad. You see women going, they're going to pick up her nomination form or return it, and you see men around her. You don't see women around her.
Politics, they say, is about election and popular decision. As such, women are implored to utilize their number in making their representation. In Kaduna, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
The need for Nigeria's media to wholly embrace development brought about by the digitalization era has again been stressed to cope with current realities. This was during a public lecture and award presentation to the former Director General of the NTA and some prominent personalities in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. Awal Muhammad Kazouri has more.
The lecture series award presentation was instituted by the Jigawa State Correspondents Chapel of NUJ in memory of its late chairman Ahmad Abubakar of the Sun newspapers that died last year. Dwelling on the topic, the role of media in promoting digital literacy in Nigeria, speakers say Nigeria should not be lagging behind in the global digital media practice.
This lecture is handy. We go a long way in removing this misconception that IT will drag you out of that job. Our nation should be the capability to navigate our digital world using reading, writing, technical skills, vocational skills, and also critical thinking. With the advent or the coming out of many digital media, especially in the newspapers, now people can read easily. This is one thing that we have to appreciate.
The chapel honored 8 personalities with awards for their contributions to the society. One of the recipients, the former Director General of the NTA, Malam Muhammad Ibrahim, was presented by the General Manager NTA Dutse, Abdullahi Garba Burnun Kudu. Awal Muhammad, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Elizabeth in Abuja. Back to Elizabeth.
And nice to see you. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, are recommended stringent measures in support of the public to curb the increasing burden of drug abuse in Nigeria. The agencies analyzed the war against drug abuse in Nigeria on NTA's current affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria, and reaffirmed their commitment to scale up their efforts. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
NAFDAC apprehended 25 containers of tramadol. We have a software that we can use to track whatever containers are coming into the country. For the past 4.5 years, we have been strengthening our own system, because if the system is not strengthened, all sorts of things will happen.
Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, there explaining serious nationwide enforcement activities our agency has been involved in to improve the fight against drug abuse. For Femi Babafemi, Director Media and Advocacy NDLEA, and Chuks Akamadu, President, Center for Ethical Rebate among Nigerian youths, both noted efforts are strengthening enforcement and surveillance activities, but admit more needs to be done, especially in the area of farming up on existing drug laws, including stiffer penalties for offenders and better security at the country's borders.
The NDLA of today, the new NDLA, is not just going after the drugs, the suspects, but far beyond, going after their assets.
We need a holistic action. We need the public buy-in. It's not just about what are the respective states doing. The NDLEA Amendment Act that is before the National Assembly, why are they sitting on it?
The guests were unanimous in their submissions that the burden of drug abuse is becoming a public health concern in Nigeria, and agencies that checkmate trafficking of illicit drugs should not relent. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Common interest and unity amongst members of Civilian Joint Task Force made it possible for them to succeed in the patriotic quest of supporting the military and other security formations in restoring significant peace in Borno. This provided the impetus required for taking the fight to enclaves of terrorists as the people now celebrate festivities, especially Salah, and live peacefully in most parts of the state, with CJTF vigilant at all times to check infiltration of insurgents. Mimuna Garba reports.
The Civilian Joint Task Force, a local group formed in 2013 as a child of necessity to support the military in the fight against Boko Haram insurgents in northeast Nigeria and to protect local communities from insurgency attacks. Members of CJTF have helped in ousting the terrorists from the state capital Maiduguri using only sticks and cutlasses at the initial period.
If not for the civilian JTF, Maiduguri itself wouldn't have survived. And that brought about the stabilization of the city.
They progressively expanded over the years with a population of over 26,000 members, having suffered about 6,000 casualties in the course of the Boko Haram crisis. The CJTF members are not relenting in ensuring they live up to their responsibilities of restoring peace to Borno, as it was evident during festive periods, especially Salah and Christmas, where they collaborate in securing worship places.
CJTF is for everybody. Whatever we do to see our town, our state, our people, we must do it. So we have already sacrificed our life for the entire people of Borno State.
The state cannot develop without peace, and there's no peace without security. So the youths are strong pillar.
A lot of successes have been achieved in the counter-insurgency operations, as lately the military and members of the CJTF have made headway into all terrorist enclaves, especially the Sambisa Forest, Timbuktu Triangle and the Timbus in the Lake Chad, conducting rigorous clearance operations for the restoration of lasting peace to the region. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Farouk Yahya has inaugurated 153 bungalows to enhance affordable housing for officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces in Zuru, Kebbi State. Correspondent Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
This signifies the arrival of the Army Chief at the 223 Battalion of the Nigerian Army, Dakarawa Barracks, Zuru. Shortly after that, the Army Chief was quick to speak on why such a policy was vigorously being pursued.
They are necessary because the troops here, the bulk of them, almost all of them, like others across the country, are involved in serious operations in various theaters. So they need to be supported so that their families can be well accommodated. That will enable them and ginger them to put in their best. We continue to appreciate the troops for their sacrifices.
On a courtesy visit to the Emir of Zuru, the Army restated the need for collaboration between the Emirate and the Army to tackle the myriads of security challenges confronting the nation.
Bandits, they come in large numbers time to time, but we realize that many of them are not armed. And this is why we are emphasizing on this traditional security to rise and defend ourselves as much as possible.
Other stakeholders at the visit commended the army for the doggedness in improving the welfare of its servicemen nationwide. From Zuru, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
To address the myriad of challenges confronting the female gender, economic empowerment has become more urgent. This is the position of members of the Association of Nigerian Female Students at a convention in Abuja. They are young, vibrant, and ready to change their world positively. Christiana is the newly elected president of the association. She says education and inclusion of women in governance will pave the way for self-development and actualization.
Building them up to become people that are solution creators in their various communities, people that are able to use their talents, their ideas, and their skills to improve themselves, to fend for themselves, to earn a living. Because we have a dream that one day, through our advocacy, through our good works, we are going to bring about the changes that will make the girl child in those underserved communities to have that opportunity to actually go to school and obtain quality and qualitative education.
Protection of women's rights, security, and supportive family system were some of the issues raised.
We're bringing new ideas to Nigerians, and not just students, not just youth, but to Nigerians that will promote growth, development to Nigerians.
As Nigerians prepare for the 2023 general elections, they urge women to shun electoral malpractices and embrace initiatives capable of making the paradigm shift in all spheres. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori. And out to waste management, the processes required to manage waste from its inception to final disposal are fundamental in view of health implications. So, environmentalists are urging relevant waste management authorities to hasten the removal of waste along public places that are constituting environmental hazards. Erica Ivy reports.
In recent times, the rate and quality of waste generation have been on the increase due to increased human population in urban areas. And this has given rise to indiscriminate littering of refuse on the streets and drains, which provide habitat for insect vectors, flies, as well as rodents, which are pollutants to the environment.
Every day. I don't use no smack, it no protect me. So when some people come like this and they find out that they've been already been killed without being taken, they will now place it on the floor. And there's nobody to control them. So government should do something.
For some respondents, living in an untidy environment may lead to loss of hygienic behavior and could create a significant health problem.
You are bound to be sick every day because of malaria and other diseases.
As you industrialize the place, there's supposed to be a check, checking the excesses that result in environmental hazard.
Our healthy living depends largely to how clean our environments are. And therefore, it means that our environment at all times must be kept clean.
When rain is falling, don't bring out your dustbin and throw inside the gutter for rain to flush it. Take it to the appropriate bin where we have to trash a dustbin.
Environmentalists advocate enhanced sustainability in the environment. In Calabar, Erika Ivy, NTA News.
And next is Sports Update with Ayo Deji.